What I think will stand the test of time after the 2010s is, gosh.
For me personally, it was kind of a blur because I had children in 2006. So my pop culture of 2010s is pretty much completely animated and Avengers movies.
Marvel and how they dominated the big screen.
I didn't know whether to dress for the party or for the business meeting, so I kind of dressed for both. But it didn't matter,
Why not?
because I wasn't called out there for either one.
What were you called out there for?
An ambush.
I think he started strong with The Social Network back in 2010.
Loved Lady Bird. It's the first time that I've ever seen the era of my adolescence so accurately depicted in a film. It's just like, it's a perfect film. I loved that movie.
I think Get Out was one of the most satisfying, exciting screenings that I ever went to. But seeing that film with an audience who was ready for it and did not know what they were getting into, just screaming throughout that entire movie was one of the most indelible theatrical experiences I had. People were just hooting and hollering, and I absolutely loved it.
I still remember walking out of the theater after seeing what I would consider the best movie of the decade, which is Upstream Color. I spent the rest of the night talking about it and what the pigs meant and what was the symbolism when they were lying in the bathtub together. Upstream Color, it rocked my world.
Baby Driver was huge to me because it was the first non-animated movie, non-superhero movie I'd seen in the theater probably for the whole decade. That opening clip, I think I've seen on YouTube 20 some times because I think it's so perfect. A lot of people are like, Baby Driver kind of over. I still stand by Baby Driver.
I just recently rewatched The Hunger Games.
It's your first year, Prim. I'm not gonna pick you.
Primrose Everdeen. I volunteer! I volunteer as tribute. We have a volunteer.
I liked Jennifer Lawrence's character, and I liked a lot of the things that came out of that because there's a lot of pop culture references and just the whole. And we actually did that throughout high school too. It was when any time someone get attention because they were talking or whatnot, and it would just a silent.
Green Room?
Whatever you saw or did is no longer my concern. But let's be clear. It won't end well.
That movie to me was such a pure merging of so many of my interests because it was provocative and aggressive and exciting, and it was like a siege movie, but it took place in such seedy environs. And also just Jeremy Saulnier to me is an incredible director, but he also will go places physically.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was really great. A real up and down kind of decade for Quentin Tarantino. I did not like The Hateful Eight. That was probably the hardest film-going experience that I had in the past 10 years. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I've seen it twice now, and I would go see it again. I just want to live in that movie.
The Force Awakens, I know people, crapped on it and really didn't like it and whatnot, but I loved it. And the only reason I loved it was because it was one of those things, I remember the new trilogy, I remember Phantom Menace, even though I was really young and things like that. And being able to watch this and with my younger brothers who didn't get to experience the trilogy, it brought tears to my eyes. Me and my dad were crying, and my dad's a huge fan too. And it was a really neat experience to see a new Star Wars movie at the age that I was, to really appreciate what was all going into it and seeing all those new characters and things like that.
Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
This is not going to go the way you think.
I will always remember the complete and utter silence in the theater when Laura Dern is launching the one ship through the other ship. And I know, and all these fanboys out there who are well, is she gonna go send a ship at light speed through another ship? Why didn't they always do that? And all I have to say to those guys is fuck you. You have made loving Star Wars so exhausting and just so, I flames on the side of my face having to think about having to defend the passion for Star Wars against these assholes. The same people who are lining up behind all the Batman movies, and I gotta listen to people talking about Joker for another 3 months of my life. Piece of shit movie.
fact that Marvel has become basically the biggest thing in pop culture is, for the inner child in me, is like a good thing.
Here's what I can tell you about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I was at Target the other day buying socks, and they had 2 racks, one of Star Wars socks and one of Marvel socks. And I reached out, and as I was grabbing the Marvel socks, my significant other goes, I mean, you're getting the Marvel socks, right? At this point, Marvel's better. And I agree.
The moment that Hulk punched Thor, for me, is one of my favorite pop culture memories of the entire decade, because it was just so unexpected and it was just so funny of like heroes turning on each other. But then we were all addicted, and then we saw pretty much every Avengers movie like the nanosecond it came out. Loved all of them. I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I hope that this deal thing keeps working out, because I think he was just amazing in the part, and the whole Spider-Man Tony Stark thing I was very into.
I think a lot of bigger studios have become a bit unimaginative when it comes to filmmaking now. Everybody wants to be Marvel, nobody wants to be original. So it's good and bad.
It's like, I think those may have some staying power, but I'm not necessarily sure if they're gonna have the same legacy and impact and shelf life that like the franchises of generations past did. Like, I don't know if it's gonna be Star Wars. It was certainly bigger than Star Wars this decade, which was very strange to see. Very strange to see Star Wars come back and be totally overshadowed by this thing that is now its corporate cousin. But, you know, I think it's entirely possible that 20, 30 years from now, the kids that are growing up with the Marvel movies will look at those as sort of like the paragon of blockbuster cinema that kids my age, adults my age now see the Star Wars movies. Like, these are gonna be really formative cinematic experiences for people, and I think like it's completely reshaped the way that a generation looks at moviegoing.